California Dream for All has finally released its guidelines for 2024, and today I'm going to discuss the major changes between this year and last. So if you are a buyer considering this program, this video is for you. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica Monroe. I'm a realtor in the Bay Area and I specialize in Solano County. So many of you have emailed over the last couple months with questions about the potential guidelines, and we finally have them in hand. So today I'm going to outline the three major differences that I see between this year and last. I will give you a quick refresher on the California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Program. I also have a very thorough video above. Just keep in mind that some of the guidelines have changed. If you already know all of this information, feel free to skip ahead using chapters in my timeline. For those of you who need a refresher, the California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan, let's call it Dream for All or DFA for short, is a 20% down payment assistance program. You can potentially get up to 20% and you can utilize those funds towards your down payment, towards closing costs, or even potentially spreading some of that money out to help buy down the interest rate. The idea is we want to make homeownership attainable and more affordable. With a 20% down payment, your main mortgage, the mortgage that you pay on each month, is going to be a lot smaller because you're taking out a smaller amount of money. And the beautiful thing about DFA is that you don't pay any monthly interest or any monthly payment at all on that 20%. So you're only focused on paying each month on your main monthly mortgage. Now you do have to pay back the funds. It is a loan, but it's considered a silent secondary loan. So you do have to pay it back when there's what's considered a triggering event. And that means the transfer of title or ownership. So that would be if you were to sell your house, if you were to transfer title of ownership, so transferring title to a child or to a trust, that would be considered a triggering event, and that 20% down payment would be due immediately. Also, if you refinance more than one time, you do get to refinance one time, but if you were to attempt a second, this would also be a triggering event, even though you're not changing title. So not only will you have to pay back that 20% down payment in full, you will also have to share some of the appreciation or some of the equity your home has gained. You will have to pay CalHFA or Dream for All between 15 and 20% of the appreciation your home has gained. And the discrepancy between the 15 and 20% is based on your income. If you earn 80% or above of the area median income where you're living, then you have to pay back 20% of the appreciation accrued. If you earn less than 80% of the area median income, then you would pay 15% of the appreciation accrued. I'll provide some examples and go more into detail towards the end of the video, but for now let's move on to the major changes that I've identified between last year and this year's program. The first major change for this year is that one of the buyers has to be considered a first-generation home buyer by the CalHFA definition. And I'm going to read this definition directly off of the website so that there's no confusion or misinterpretation. A first-generation home buyer is defined as a home buyer who has not been on title, held an ownership interest, or have been named on a mortgage to a home on permanent foundation and own land in the United States in the last 7 years, and to the best of the home buyer's knowledge, whose parents, biological or adoptive, do not have any present ownership interest in a home in the United States, or if deceased, whose parents did not have any ownership interest at the time of death in a home in the United States, or an individual who has at any time been placed in foster care or institutional care, type of out-of-home residential care for large groups of children by non-related caregivers. So at least one buyer has to fit this definition. The other or all other buyers have to also still be considered a first-time home buyer, which is defined by not having owned a property or been on title for the last 3 years. It's also important to note that at least one of the buyers must be a current California resident. The next major change, which was anticipated, is that this time it'll be somewhat of a lottery system as far as how the funds are dispersed. There will be vouchers given at random to qualifying buyers. We don't have a lot of information on what those vouchers will be like, such as how long would a buyer have to find a house, get their offer accepted, get into contract, and close on the property. As these details become available, I'll be sure to update you here, or always feel free to reach out to me directly. In order to be considered for a voucher, everybody will have to go ahead and get pre-approved through a CalHFA preferred lender. And by the way, I have some incredible lenders that I trust wholeheartedly. They are preferred CalHFA lenders, so they know every type of down payment assistance program available like the back of their hand. Definitely reach out to me if you'd like their contact information. You have to go through and get pre-approved and pre-registered in order to qualify to receive these vouchers. I would absolutely encourage you to do this sooner rather than later. A, so you know whether you qualify or not, but B, make it less stressful on yourself. Take the time now before the program launches to make sure that you meet all of their requirements. Keep in mind this program has 2 educational courses that you have to complete. One is an 8-hour time course specific to first-time homeownership, and the second is giving you insight and making sure you really understand the shared appreciation portion of this loan. Both of those have to be completed in order for you to be eligible to receive a voucher, or at least that's how I understand it. Should anything change, I'll definitely update you, but I would absolutely encourage you to do so now before the program actually launches, which is projected to be in April. The third major change that I think is most impactful is that income limits, so household income limits, have been reduced. Last year for Solano County, a household income could be just north of $200,000, and this year it's been reduced to $178,000. So that would include the combined income of anybody who's applying to the loan. So those 3 changes, in my opinion, are the most impactful. Many of the other guidelines have stayed the same. For example, all buyers have to plan to live in the property as their primary residence. So you cannot have parents co-sign on a loan unless they are also applying and planning to live with you in the property. Also, just like last year, not only do you have to qualify for the DFA loan program, you also have to meet the credit guidelines and all guidelines of the CalHFA conventional program, which would be your main mortgage. So they have credit score and debt to income ratio standards. If you remember debt to income ratio, debt is your monthly commitments, what you absolutely have to pay every month. So that could be car payments, it could be student loans, it could be credit card debt, versus your gross monthly income, so income prior to taxes. And that's how we calculate the debt to income ratio. That has to be at 45% or lower if your credit score is 700. If your credit score is above 700, then you could potentially stretch your debt to income ratio up to 50%. Only a lender will be able to tell you exactly what your debt to income ratio is, because items like student loans may not have the same weight or factor as a car payment. So they'll be able to shed more light on your debt to income ratio and what you may need to do to lower it. I know that doing the research for loan types and loan qualifications can be completely mind-numbing and overwhelming, but you just need to find the right team to help support you. Find a lender and a realtor who are happy to answer all of your questions. It's my opinion that an educated buyer is a successful buyer. They will be less stressed during the process, and everybody will find it to be a lot more enjoyable. I encourage my clients to ask me all of their questions because I would much rather them get the right information from me rather than Googling the answer and just assuming that that's correct. That can actually be the difference between you being able to successfully close on a house and not. If you have any direct questions or would like to work together, please feel free to reach out to me. Or if you'd like references for very trusted CalHFA approved lenders, I'd be happy to help there as well.